I I followed my passion. My passion and my expertise is actually convening stakeholders, bringing people together, connecting public and private sector leaders. So it sort of follows what I was doing at Davos. And then I think my background as a journalist in sort of asking tough questions um, and getting people to tell stories
Yeah.
is part of that. And I think one of the really interesting, most fascinating things about the mobility revolution, which is how I see it, is that it's in some ways similar to, when was it, 30 years ago when sort of Steve Jobs and Bill Gates were tinkering in their garages
Yeah.
in Silicon Valley. You had these sort of larger than life characters back then
Yeah.
who dominated the digital revolution. It's sort of the same thing with mobility. It's
And
it's a very,
you can feel
very
something. You can feel something is cooking up, right? You can feel
this
something is
incredible
changing.
excitement, and you
Yeah,
have
you
these
feel it.
larger than life characters. Whether it's RJ Scaringe at Rivian, or Travis Kalanick at Uber, or who were kind of cowboys and cowgirls sometimes, but just
Exactly.
just following their dreams and really
Change
changing the world.
makers.
And you felt so. I was just fascinated by that. And you I think to be successful in life, you have to follow what you do well and what you're passionate in.
Yeah.
And so I think bringing people together is, I think I have a certain facility for that, I guess.
Yeah. But I obviously I did research about commotion and LA and so on, and you were able to attain such big impact and create such success for mobility operators and governments. How did you do it? How did your backgrounds help you with it? Because I looked at other competitors of commotion, but to be honest, it's not the same on a world scale, right? Because commotion is really targeting not only the United States but also Europe, especially when I look at the mobility pioneer startups. A lot of them are actually from Europe. So
Yeah.
you really look at the issue in a bigger scale, and
Well,
it's difficult, but you're somehow you manage to do it. I don't know how, but please explain. That's why.
well, I mean, look, if you look at my career, I'm an American, but who's lived
Exactly.
in Europe most of his adult life. So I've been around the world many, 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 many times. And I think all of this coincided with, I mean, if you look at the mobility revolution, it's different from the internet revolution, the digital revolution, which essentially was happened in a very, very small geography in Central California, Silicon Valley. The
Yeah.
mobility revolution is happening everywhere. There's innovation everywhere, in Europe, etc. And I think so. I think the two differentiating things that mark CoMotion is that we have this global outlook, that we bring together people from mobility innovators and transportation innovators from Europe, from Africa, from Asia. We believe that cities and innovators can learn from each other. So that's really important. And I think as you yourself said, I think the future of our cities and the future of transportation, the future of mobility depends on very strong public-private partnerships and collaboration. So I think if you go to a CoMotion event, about half the people, half the speakers, half the audience is public or public sector officials and policymakers. The other half are innovators or startups or the Fords, etc.
Yep.
So I think it's that ability to bring public and private together and mediate that conversation that is our little secret sauce, I guess.